that sets me free. Guide I.
Good evening, Iman Blak.
Good evening.
This is Pauline from St. Mary. Calling to big you up on your program. I am a disciple. I've been there since almost the inception.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free.
I just see what I have to do into because, I always even watch someone that tell life and stuff, and that's a festival for later. I have to really listen to you first, you know what I mean?
How my one you get one machikumbakhna Africa da fabakhna kidafanya kidafarafet one machiki bunjul kidafamunjul one yandeke sawai kidafamunjul one machiki bunjul kidafamunjul dafnin rafet yomenta menda ingama dafnin rafet yomenta menda ingara dafnin rafet yomenta menda ingara. Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that's what you got. Be proud.
Jambo, vipi, karibuni katika kipindi cha Doc Iman Blak. Kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na mwelimiki.
Conquering Lion of Judah.
Of colonial reign has brought the people misery, has left them such pain. The talk is now now of independence, you see. Seems it wasn't meant for you or for me. As strangers we came, slave trade was the game. And ever since we don't even know our name. Our heritage we must remember. And all that they did to mother and father. So people, for what it's worth, demands your freedom here upon earth. Stop asking when, where, and how. Make up your mind, the time is now.
Paying tribute to mystic revelations of Rastafari and the passing of a great elder. Brother Sam Clayton moves on from this dimension.
From Africa, with the intention to steal our culture. That's good for the past by and said,
Humble yourself, my children. Humble yourself, my little one. Humble yourself. Oh, my brother,
Metamorphosis. Tinastilin. Greetings. Jambo. Eli. Rastafari. Giving eyes to ones and ones who make input and contribution to the transformation and upliftment of our struggling race. So I am on giving, well, let's say condolences, but I am on giving praises for the life of Brother Sam Clayton of the Mystic Revelations of Rastafari. Yeah, this is a brethren who has been at the foundation of the music, the drumming, and along with Count Azé, set a foundation for a philosophy that would be instrumental in guiding a particular movement the movement of Rastafari. And so Clayton has expired, breathed his last breath. But the sounds of the mystic revelations of Rastafari will continue to haunt the ears of those who are on the surface until the liberation that Rastafari and other African-minded and other persons of just thought would think is right for the people. So we hail in Sam Clayton and all of his family and his extended family, which is Rastafari. The issues within the metamorphosis now pertains to 2 or 3 topics that we'll just be focused on. One is one happening down in the north there, where tomorrow the people of North America, United States, will go to the polls to exercise their democratic right to define who should be the winners of their midterm elections. And this election is not a presidential election, it's a midterm, but it has become the most significant elections perhaps since 1776, since the founding of the States of America, and since they established a constitution and started doing their political gimmickry. This election could be the most significant based upon the issues and the whole global climate and the position that black people find themselves now in North America. There's also the whole notion also of definitions of identity. Who is a citizen? What makes a person a citizen? Who is a resident? And ultimately, who are the lawmakers? Because everything comes to the bump when it comes to the law. The law eventually defines what is so and what is not so. The law doesn't necessarily mean the thing is morally correct. For example, slavery was morally and still is morally incorrect, but it was a legal institution in America and in many other places. So I want to expand and look into what is going on in North America, how it's affecting black people and Caribbean people in particular. There's also some issues at the international level. The murdering of a journalist and the disappearance of his body. We here in Jamaica are not so familiar with this type of activities, but this is a very gruesome type of political espionage, where a man will enter an embassy and just don't come out. This is only because of the video technology. The same thing black people using now to expose the violence of white domination. It's the same thing being used here in Turkey, wherein there's struggles in that region between Turkey and Saudi Arabia and Iran. And now the sanctions have now been put in place, new sanctions on Iran by the United States. What does all this mean for the supply of oil and the gas prices even in a place like Jamaica? I also want to take a little time to look into the philosophy of life. Is it a circle or is it a cycle? It's a significant difference based on how you view it. So we want to explore those both 2 angles. Is life a cycle or is it a circle? And why we ask is a circle, because there is a common view that what goes around comes back around. And that only works within a circle. A cycle is a rise and fall and a continuous movement. So we want to just explore that as we go through. And then now we want to look into the consistent denial of our people. Why do we continue to deny that we are black? What is the curse? What is the ism surrounding the word black? So we're going to go to the dictionary and we're going to apply some of the laws of English, see if we can get a better clarity as to what it is. How do we identify ourselves? And then we want to just jump across the dictionary and just look at what is white. Because we seem to be trapped into a world that is defined by black and white. We have been told that these are opposites. Yet there are no other aspects on the color spectrum that are opposites. There's no red. There's no opposite to red, and there's no opposite to green. So how is it that black and white become opposites? So we're going to explore these things, and then ultimately we want them who are very biblically trained and experienced to tell me who and where in the Bible was the first lie told. Who tell the first lie in the Bible? And who told it to whom? All the Bible scholars like to talk about injustice into the earth and who brought evil into the world. Who in the world creation story told the first lie? And was it a white lie or was it a black lie? Metamorphosis. Revelations of Rastafari. So we're giving praises for the life of Elder Sam Clayton. And it's being recommended that the first 3 albums of the Mystic Revelation should be accorded National Treasure certification. One was titled Groundation, the other Tales of Mozambique, and Bongo Manacom. So we have to begin to, again, have a way to record and respect our heroes. And within the tradition of Rastafari, Sam Clayton and Count Azzy, along with Claudius Henry and Howell, is a whole cadre of brethren. and sisterins who have to begin to raise up out of the dust and put them on the pedestal that they can be recognized and acknowledged globally. So there's also the cry for the homes of Sam Clayton, Count Azzy, Fillmore Alvaranga, and Dougie Mack to be declared as heritage sites of the Rastafari faith. So things are happening, and I man just think that it's important that I share some of the happenings within the tradition of Rastafari, and realize also that within the context of black identity, Rastafari has been at the cutting edge of insisting that people on the Jamaica island see themselves as people of Africa. That has to be the long-lasting legacy of Rastafari as a movement that has brought the consciousness of Africa to this island and into the Caribbean, and has projected Africa through the music. And that projection of Africa was highlighted through the work of the Wailers in particular, and the deification of Haile Selassie. So that kind of movement of a people is far beyond what Europe would anticipate. Because after you beat down a people for over 2,000 years, you don't really have any hope of them finding themselves and their own glory. Rastafari has helped to bring that consciousness here to Jamaica. In terms of the consciousness of being black, it has been a difficult struggle in Jamaica for one to embrace that identity. And it is not difficult to see why it is so difficult. And how is it that Rastafari can able to be such a powerful movement to shake up the foundation of oppression and allow people to see a glimpse of what blackness is? Because when we go into the education system from the plantation perspective, we are given a dictionary. And before we enter the dictionary as an emancipated people, we are given a Bible on the plantation. Two important books that deal with control. The dictionary, however, we get introduced to it later on when we go into the public school system. And there now we begin to learn about language and the laws of language and meanings and singular and plural, masculine and feminine, root words, prefixes and suffixes. We learn all of these things now to allow us to comprehend what we read. So we open our dictionary and we define words there. We need to find some people out there who will do a little research and check up on the man named Noah Webster. How is it that it's this one man responsible for putting together one book with all of these words with meaning? How him come up with these meanings, and how we know that it is true? Why do we accept these definitions? But we don't question these definitions, we accept them to our own peril. So the first definition that is obvious and needs a little investigation is how the word black is defined. And if a people will call themselves a black people, they must say it with a certain amount of confidence and pride. But if you say you're a black and you don't understand the various levels of interpretation of the word, you're not really claiming it as an identity, you're saying it. So we can ask ourselves the question, is black a condition? Is black a color? Is black a people? What really is black? Because before we get into the dictionary, we are introduced to black as a concept through early Bible school training. And in that early exposure to black through religion, black is defined as evil. Black is equated to sin. Black is connected to the devil. So at the religious level, before we even go into the dictionary, we get a sense of feeling that black is negative. It just so happens that the story that we get into Sunday school reinforces these ideas of black being dark and evil. And ultimately, people will not want to associate themselves with evil. It's just a basic natural thinking. So when we explore the language now, get into the parts of speech of English, and we know that there are 8 parts of speech. Of course we know that, because we use the language every day. 8 parts of speech, and each part of speech carries a different value in terms of what the word represents. So, noun, verb, pronoun, adjective, adverb. That is 5. There is preposition, conjunction, and interjection. That is 3 more. That is 8. 8 parts of speech that make up English. Now, if you don't override those 8 parts of speech, you're going to have a whole lot of problems communicating and listening. So within those 8 parts of speech now, we want to know what is black. What part of speech is black? Well, them telling you it depends on whether it is capitalized or whether it is spelled with a common letter. So there's another rule in the English that tells you that the word can change the meaning if you begin the word with a capital letter. And the meaning change if you use a common letter. Now we have to know these things now, to get a good picture as to what the word means. So for example, if you write the word God, and you write God with a small g, them say that is okay. You can even pluralize that and have gods. But if you write God with a capital G, it cannot be pluralized, because them telling you now, say there's only one God. So it is the language of English now that is helping to frame the way we think. So there's masculine and plural. So people speak about Father God. They talk about putting God in front of them in everything them do. Make sure the Father is always in front of them. But at the same time, them telling you that God is a spirit. And whatever is a spirit has no gender. So the God that we put in front of us cannot be a him, according to the language. Neither can it be a her, because spirit has no gender. But we don't want to call God a it, because it loses a personal contact now. And then you can't say it cares for you, because it will be like the sunshine or the lightning. It has no care. So we'll check in the language to see how is it we define ultimately what is black. There are laws, capital versus common letters, singular versus plural, masculine, feminine, parts of speech. So we come to black again. What is black? If you use it as a descriptive word, it becomes an adjective. So they describe a condition that is bleak, a condition that is dismal, a condition that is desperate. And they say the condition is black. Spelled with a small b. They also tell you that black is an indication of condemnation. That black suggests gloom and pessimism. Black suggests something dismal. And it is also a sign of something being harmful, deliberately. Now, can you as a person voluntarily apply that definition of black to yourself and feel contented to say that you're a black man or a black woman when the meaning of black is in that direction? There's also the way of spelling black with a capital B. And I'll give you an example of the difference between capital and common. If you spell China or Chinese with a small c, it's a sign of disrespect to the people. If you spell India or Indian with a common I, it's a sign of disrespect to the Indian people. Because the language tells you if you use a small letter to identify anything, that thing is usually an object. But if you want to let the reader know that it is a person, you capitalize the letter that starts the word. So China is a capital C, Jew is a capital J, but when you write black as a person, how many people write a capital B? The tradition is to write a common B, because within that context of a common B, you're not speaking about a person. You're describing an object. You're describing a condition. You're talking about a thing. So it's a black president. You spell the black with a small b because you're not describing the man who is black, who is a president. You're talking about a president who just happens to be in a condition that is black. So I am saying to the I, when we think about ourselves as black people, do we really embrace it positively? Or is it difficult to embrace black based upon the education system, based upon the religious training, the idea that there's a universe of good and evil, and good is represented by the light, and the light, we are told, is white. And the other side of the universe is run by darkness and the demons, and that is all black. So how can we as a people now embrace blackness when those are the ideas we hold on to in our subconscious mind? But if we begin to look at black from a scientific perspective, what is black? Consciously. Metamorphosis.
Chase those crazy, chase them crazy, chase those crazy ballets out of town. Still a little bit step, stop, step, till you don't stop, to let up, start a little, start let up, stop, still a little. Your penitentiaries, we build your schools, brainwash education to make us the fools. Hatred you reward for our love, telling us of your God above. We gonna chase those crazy, chase those crazy bumpers, chase those crazy bullets out of a yarn. Chase those crazy bullets out of town. Chase those crazy, chase those crazy bumpers, chase those crazy bullets out of a yarn. Here comes the con man, coming with his con plan. We won't take no pride. We've got to stay alive. We're gonna chase those crazy. Chase those crazy ballin'.
Yes, the sounds of Robert Nesta. So I plant the thing and I do all the work, and when time comes for reap rewards, we are told that our reward will come in the by and by. In other words, our rewards for our work must not be earthly rewards. It must be something after we pass through the earth and end up in that place where nobody has ever been to and reported what they have seen or heard and so forth. But the consciousness now, the consciousness of ourselves while we are here, we need to focus more on our present condition. What is versus what could and should and ought to be. And what is evident is that we're lacking as a people a central consciousness of our identity. And we're jumping all around the world, grabbing onto national identities, land masses, and claiming those titles as our names. But there's a deeper level where we find our identity. That is, it goes beyond the land mass. It goes into our physiological makeup. And so the dictionaries that we are reading now are constructed by the Europeans, the white men them. They put out their philosophy and their definitions in that book and have us reading and studying and memorizing it. Same thing what we do with the King James Bible. But you see, we can still read it, you know. And all of them tell you about black in that negative light, you know. We can use our own intelligence and not fight with what they are saying about the meaning of these words, but look into our own makeup. And what is it that makes I and I really black? And what is the black that we are describing? Is it a color? And I will begin by saying that I will dismiss that color concept. And we use our own intelligence to realize that black is not a color. Because we know of colors through the existence of light. We're not talking about color that you can mix with pigments. We're talking about color in nature. Like how we have plants that are green. That is them color. So when we're talking about color, we have to talk about things that are in relation to light and wavelengths. And we don't have the knowledge already that when you break up light, you get 7 hues. H-U-E-S. These hues are just another word for colors. And you see them when the rain fall. And there's no black that comes in the spectrum as a color. So the confusion that they give us that black is a color is not a reality, because it does not exist in the color spectrum. So then what is black? What is it that is about us why we have to be called black people? So when we delve a little deeper into the science now of blackness, we find that it is a condition. It is a physiological condition. It's a condition that has a relationship to how the sun functions. In other words now, any object that can absorb light energy and don't reflect any of those hues is black. And it is black because it has the ability to hold all of those radiation and light waves. So once the light waves hit us, it not no escape. So there's no reflection. So we remain black. So black absorbs light, and light cannot escape from blackness. When the light hits the black man, it doesn't escape. When the light hits the Caucasian, it reflects off his skin and it causes skin burn, because there's no capacity there to absorb the radiation. So the blackness of the black man and the African race really has nothing to do with the sun directly. Because when the white people lie down in the sun, they could lay there forever. They will never ever get black. They get tanned. But they can't get black because they are lacking the organ in the brain that generates the hormones that makes I black. We generate a hormone called melatonin. And that hormone is generated just because the sun interacts with a gland in our brain. The highest gland in the black man's body is the pineal gland. And in the Caucasian, that gland is calcified in 95% of Caucasian people. The pineal gland is calcified, meaning it hard up. It don't work. So our blackness that we see in our skin and in our eyes and in our hair is not sunburn. It's a chemical action in our bodies. And that action allows us to be protected from the harmful radiation from the sun. The plants in the plant kingdom, there are the two kind of plants, you know. There are green plants and there are non-green plants. And why are one plants green? Because they are able to hold the radiation, but not everything. So they release green hues. That is the vibration that they cannot hold in the plants. So the plants appear to us to be green. All the other radiation is stored within. And those green plants have the capacity now to feed themselves. Those green plants can provide oxygen for the atmosphere, which they do. They provide food and medicine. And the fundamental power behind that is them cell structure. The cell structure of the green plants allow them to be in harmony with the sun, engage in photosynthesis, and make food. The black man is just as in harmony with the sun as the green plants. And we use our skin cells, which is not chlorophyll, but the melanin, to create vitamin D, to create and store vibrations. And these energies are released in the black man in the very early mornings, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, in the morning when the creativity of the black man flows in his artistry and his writing and his poetry. All of our rhythms and our vibrations are highest in the early morning when the brain is being bathed with the melatonin. But the plantation system ensures that we are asleep because we're tired all day. We work so hard during the day on the plantation that we have to be sleeping at those hours when we should be up to be experiencing our greatest power. When there's clairvoyance, when there's intuition, when there's inspiration. Our blackness is not about sin. It's about salvation. It's about our ability to survive on this planet. It's about being in harmony with the Almighty, which dwells in the heavens, the Son of God, S-U-N. Metamorphosis.
Business operators, local and overseas. This announcement is for you.
Styles FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
Styles FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. Styles FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with Styles FM, visit www.stylesfm.com or email info@stylesfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
Styles FM, the world listens.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
Guess what? Styles FM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on
518-2399. 518-2399.
Don't forget, 518-2399.
This is Ricardo Suave, inviting you to tune into Smoothic, the show for the ladies, with DJ Prestige, from 9 to midnight every Tuesday on Styles 96.1 FM, Portland's best.
I've been watching you.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Ditchfield Hill. They offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
But the way to rise is that we have to unlearn so much of what we have been taught as gospel truth. The unlearning is harder than the learning. Because enough of the learning was just by rote memory. Much of it was forced in. Unlearning is a conscious effort. And it's difficult and it can be painful. I have a text here from Rakisha. Rakisha says the first lie in the Bible was told to Eve. Rakisha said, look into Genesis 3, verses 4 and 5. All the Bible scholars, all the people who are adherents of the Bible and believers of the Word, check Genesis 3, verses 4 and 5. The first lie was told to Eve. Who lied to Eve? Who did Eve have a conversation with? And a lie was told to the woman. It wasn't Adam. So when we read these stories, when we go to Sunday school, we can't ask these questions. But we're out of Sunday school now. We're into the metamorphosis and we're looking into the metaphysics. So lies are sin. You tell a lie, you tell a sin. But hear what them tell us now. Them say that is not really so because you have black lies and white lies. Yes. And of course, you know which ones are small and which ones are big. So obviously then, that the woman was told a lie. She was told that if she ate of this fruit, she would die. And guess what? According to the story, she ate of the fruit. And her eyes were opened, just like she was being told by somebody else. So we have a garden story with three characters. the fourth character is off the stage now. Fourth character would be now Adam. He's off the stage. And the three main players now is Eve, the talking serpent, and Lord God. And out of these three conversations, people conversing, somebody drop a lie. Now here we are as black people now, on the ground and the earth, looking up into these heavenly concepts and realizing that somebody there is a liar. So you see why when a man tell you, say, swear to God, and a lie I tell you, you know. When somebody tell you something, them tell you, well, I swear to God. You know a lie I tell you. Because at the subconscious level, we see where the Lord God that we have been given as the creator of everything is a liar. So how can I and I know as a people follow the words and the conversations now that would follow? Yeah, we have to pause at the beginning, you know, because it don't make sense to go further into the story. We have to begin to resolve our own issues at the beginning, since they say there was a beginning. So we're not even allowed to ask who was black in the garden. We're not allowed to ask about racial questions about those kind of issues, because black people mustn't question our origins that far back. We must be satisfied that we were rescued by white men out of jungles and brought into civilization. So you're holding on to these mythologies now. And when we apply the concept of our blackness to it, it falls apart. So was the first man a black man? Was the woman who came out of his ribs a black woman? And where were the Chinese people? Where were the white people? We have to begin to ask the questions, hard questions, and begin to anticipate hard answers just as well. So if searching out our own blackness, and in the definition of black, we are told that it reflects gloominess, and it is condemnation, and all that is evil. Black as sin. You're black with rage. And black is connected now with invoking the supernatural, which is the devil. If you just turn your dictionary a little bit and flip around to W and look into what them say white is, it's a whole different ball game. Because they give you some definitions that suggest that white means free from color. So color is some form of aberration. And so they call black people now people of color. They say when things are white, it's symbolic of freedom from moral impurity. Now this is where enough of the problem rests. Because they've introduced the concept of morality. And they've attached whiteness to morality. And so once you are white, you are free from moral impurity. You're innocent. So when you say white people, just know that they are just innocent. They can do you no harm. When you see white, it means it's not intended to cause harm. So when you get these definitions, and these are the meanings that are given to us for white and black, it sets the black mind and the African people against themselves. And we put the people who we call white in a glorified position because white symbolize innocence. So when you go to court, the white man can never be guilty. He's always innocent. And who is judging him? His own white peers. So you see, we are locked in some definition that we have to redefine and unlearn. The aspect about being free from moral impurity is why we go to London, to the Privy Council, to get justice. Because the highest form of justice comes from white people. Because they are pure. They are free from impurities. So black people then are naturally impure. This is the definition. And we are just naturally corrupted. And we are naturally inferior. The dictionary and the Bible reinforces these definitions. But you know, information is not power, you know. Neither is knowledge. It's the application that determines knowledge. Enough people walking around with things in them head, but there's no change in them attitude or them behavior because the knowledge is not enough. You have to have the willpower now to transform yourself, to move from the physical to the metaphysical in your reasoning. And realize that the notion of black and white is something that has been constructed, because in real world discussion and science, there are no such things as white people. Yes, there are black people, but don't think because that there are black people, there must be white people because black and white is opposite. That is not the way to think. We are black people because we have the melanin and the pineal gland working. The Caucasian people lack melanin, lack pigmentation. And they create a political ideology now called whiteness. Because they are not white. They lack melanin, they lack pigmentation. And if you slap them up, they change color on you. So the whole notion of whiteness is a political construct that Europeans and Americans hide behind. So every time they step out of their country and go into the world of black people, they call themselves white. They don't call themselves Italians anymore, or Jews, or the ethnic identities that they have in Europe. They all come out under the umbrella of being white. So whiteness is not a characteristic of Caucasian people. Whiteness is a political construction. And we have to understand that Caucasian people are united when they leave their homelands. When they're in Europe, they are tribal war with each other. But once they come out, they come together under one banner. That one banner is called whiteness. And it's a projection of what them call them superiority. So when we see them, we just bow right away because they are white. The angels are white. The heavens are white. White is right. And black you get back. Where we switch it round. We are stand up called black. Has no lack. Yeah, rise in the intellect, rise in the emotional control, rise in the knowledge of thy own self. So here we are as a people, not sure how to identify ourselves, calling ourselves colored folks. People tell us that we are people of color. One time we were Negroes. One time we are hyphenated African Americans, Jamaican Africans, all sort of things. Confused. But at the most fundamental level of identity. In other words, the most basic levels of identity that we can speak of, we find them when the egg and the sperm connect. Because you have an identity at the level of your physiological features and you have a gender. Now the physiological features, now there are people who are academics who are trying to claim that there is no such concept as race. In other words, they don't want to give any specific features and attributes to the things that make people different from others. But according to how they teach us, and what information they give us, again, before we get into the education system, we get a story of creation. And in that story of creation, all life forms are created from sea life to land life. And when you're reading those stories, it talks about these life forms in groups. So you hear about a flock of birds, or fish travel, a school of fish, or a herd of cattle. So we get a concept of a creation story wherein animals are being created in their many. All of a sudden, when it reached to the point now where the story must tell you about man, we hear about man being made, and then we hear that out of that man, a female was made, and that female was called woman, and she was to be clinging to the man, and all of that. All right. I want to start off by saying, is there really any way that we can call people in a group without identifying them by the features that they have? How can you identify somebody without first seeing their features? And the first feature this is on somebody is them physical features, because you look at them. So your physical features become a part of your identity in terms of your physiological makeup. Now we are told that a man was created out of the dirt. M-A-N. And out of his rib was created a W-O-M-A-N. And that is supposed to be our pattern for man and woman. Well, I want to look at it in a very different way, if you can. Before we even speak about man and woman in a creation story, we have to, of course, acknowledge the plants and the insects and those other forms of life. And all of those other forms of life within their own kingdoms are really governed by two specific principles: male and female. We find male and female in the plant kingdom. We find it in the insects, we find it in the animals, we find it in the fish. So male and female are what I'm going to call principles in nature. And yet we're not talking about no man and woman, you know. We're talking about some principles that exist in nature and we can see it. And these principles are not in opposition to each other. These principles work in tandem, they are in coordination with each other, male and female principles. But then when they tell us about the man story now being created, all of a sudden now male and female become opposites. And we hear say man now opposite to woman. And we hear that there is no African race or Chinese race. Everybody belongs to a race called the human race. There's enough things them tell us to confuse us, you know. So now this human race thing now is what is running the place. So them tell all of us now that we are all members of the human race. We are no longer Africans anymore now, you know. We are members of the human race. Well, all right. Make us check out the concept of human. And make us check out the language. Remember now, you know, same text we're using as a reference. The myth of creation. Because that is what is dominant in the minds of people when they try to explain their origin. So it's the Creator God did all these things for 5 days. And on the 6th day, the Creator God said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Now it's the first time now we're engaging the Creator as a plural entity. Because the Creator has moved now from singular to plural. Because the Creator now describes itself as us. Us is now creating. Them. Them also is plural. So if you read the language properly now, when it said, let us make man in our image, male and female, they were created. Man is not a singular noun. Man represents them. So when you have man with a capital M, it implies male and female. Now, man with a small m refers to a male. Man with a capital M refers to both male and female. The word man now is a root word. And you can attach a prefix to the front of it, or you can attach a suffix to the end of it. And it changes the meaning of the word man. So we arrive at a word like mankind. Kind is a suffix. What does kind mean? Kind mean, it either means generous or it means a type of. So mankind means a type of man, a kind of man. And the prefix of hue changes man from man to human, which is not man. English language we're working with, and concepts. We are also taught about singular and plural. Now we know my engineer get this from basic school. And him know say man is singular. And you know what is plural. You cast? Men, right? All right. Men, you know, so there are some basic things we're talking about, but somewhere everybody know, you know. Man is singular, men is plural. So what about woman? Woman is singular, so you expect women to be plural. And so it is, because the plural of man is men. But you see, when they introduce us to the concept of human, and you try pluralize human, where are you supposed to get? You're supposed to get human. Yeah, but right, so them switch it away. Them say, let's call it humans. I want them think about this a little bit now, you know. This whole idea of human and man. Because man is a foundation term. And man implies male and female. So it makes sense in the Genesis story of the 6th day of creation that the creation included males and females. And I don't want to extend the reasoning to say it represented a race of people. That the word man in the Genesis chapter verse 6 speaks about a race of people called man. Just like you have a flock of birds and a thing of lions and all of that. I want to extend the intelligence to a race named man. And male and female are a part of the race. You see, if you leave that mythology and you go into now chapter 2 of Eve and Adam, you introduce now to a man who is a male and a woman that comes out of his rib. So this woman seems to be of a different nature than the female that is a part of the race of man. We're working it out.
A gorgon. Be careful how you're going all about and pretending you're a dragon. I am the conqueror, conquering and to conquer. I am the conqueror. Some call I the dub master. I am the conqueror, conquering and to conquer. I am the absorbing, never circumspect and dirty, or you're bound to get a flogging from the conqueror, conquering and to conquer. I am the conqueror, some call I the master. I am the conqueror, conquering and to conquer. I am the conqueror. Some call I the master. Ooh, yeah. If you a bulldog, I'm a dopey conqueror. And dopey know who be frightened. When a lion is arresting, never you try to wake him. I am the conqueror, conquering and to conquer. I am the conqueror. Some call I the master. I am the conqueror, conquering and to conquer. I am the conqueror. Some call I the master. Some call I the master. Ooh, yeah. Just mind how you run up your mouth, acting like a gorgon. Be careful how you're going all about and acting like a dragon. I am the conqueror, conquering and to conquer.
Yeah, we're looking for our identity, searching for our own identity within our own way of thinking. The whole idea behind the word M-A-N, man, makes a big difference how it's spelled. Whether it's a small m, which signifies just a single male. If it's a capital M in the front, it means it's more than one individual. We're talking about a collective of people. And the worst, if you ever write it with all bold letters, M-A-N in bold capitals, it means a race. So there's a race called man. Yet we are being told that we are all humans. And there's nowhere in the literature of anciency where the word human appears. It's always man, and within the context of man, there must be the female, because the male comes out of the female at birth, and the male and the female have always been in existence. They complement each other as principles. So neither one can come before the other. They both always exist. That may be difficult to grasp, because we hear about this one come first and the other one come second. And I'm having with this chicken and egg argument like it's a circle going around. So we have to see ourselves and understand the language. That if we're going to hold on to a mythology of creation, then that intelligence form would never create a single male after creating all of the other life forms in their groups. And then wait for how many 100 years to figure out that the single male will get lonely and start experiencing horny feelings. That is not a practical application of knowledge. That doesn't liberate your consciousness to hold them kind of story there. But where does the word human come from? Because first of all, we don't see the book that them give us to read on the plantation, which is the Bible. It don't appear in it nowhere. Anybody can find the word human in the Bible. 4531444. Call me and tell me. So that word is coming out of the scientific language of Europe. The human. And the human, according to the Europeans, is an evolution of the primates. The primates are the monkey families, the orangutans and the gorillas. And they are convinced that them as a people come from the apes. Look at the Flintstone movies. Look at Planet of the Apes. Look at the culture of the European. Him don't tell you where him come from. So the human is an end product of the animal evolution that they speak of. That cloning process that led to the Australopithecus man and the Java and the Peking, all of these forms of Europeans. Those life forms evolved until they reach them straighten up and start develop language and culture and begin to see themselves as human beings. Not man, because the man that is the original construction is a man of the sun. Like the green plants, him can survive under the sun. So the melanin must be in the system. So black people must realize it's not anything about being cursed by Noah's son and all them kind of hogwash there. That is mythology created to make black people feel inferior. We are a supreme people, but we're not practicing the supremacy that we should practice. And to practice black supremacy, we have to transform the female out of her frozen state of fear and bring her back to our consciousness. Yeah, because the female is the key, you know. She holds the family together. And without the family structure, we are just out there scattered around the place. So the message remains the same. Our blackness is our biological makeup. And it's a gift from nature. It keeps us alive. It makes us the most ancient people on the earth. It makes us belong to the race called man. And when the Europeans came into the continent, they saw not men and women, they saw gods. So ultimately, we must return to that consciousness. The principle of our consciousness defines us as gods. But if you are living in doubt and fear about the nature of your skin, you will forever really and truly be in sin. Metamorphosis.
What
mission, yo. As you seek to feed the sheep of the shepherd. Whoa, yeah. You'll be found worthy to enter in the vineyard, yo. But there is too much pollution in the land. Said I need some atmospheric vibration. Too much confusion where I go. The whole world is suffering from illusions. But redemption stands within the scheme of things. The Redeemer's called the King of Kings. Purifies the soul from unclean things. Know your place within the scheme of things. Wise ones will hear and will increase their learning. From the words of the wise and their bright sayings, yo. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? You better rise and awake from your slumbering mentality. For the wind of desperation, I know it will increase crime waves and demonstrations. But the rock of discretion, it will come with floods of conflict and conviction. So what are you doing toward the scheme of things? This your system, crucially crucial. In your this your rhythm, a crucially crucial. I'm out on the rock now, with no clothes on my back, yo. No shoes on my feet now. I've got nothing to eat, yo. Not even little flour. A crucially crucial. To mix little dumpling. A crucially crucial. Said no rice. A crucially crucial. To not little Sunday rice and peas. A crucially crucial. Crucial. Good gosh, it's crucial. Whoa, it's crucial. It's your pressure. A crucially crucial. It's getting dreader and dreader. A crucially crucial. My back on the wall now. My belly filled with white squall, yo. Got no job to get paid now. Not even borrows to spend now. Not even little sugar. A crucially crucial.
Yeah, that be ancient whaler. And the crucial is not just a Jamaica thing now, you know. It's a globe in a crucial condition. And the United States now in particular is experiencing and undergoing perhaps the most crucial time of its existence. And we have so many black brothers and sisters and family members who are living in that place, experiencing some serious amount of anxiety now and perhaps even some trauma. Because the country now, down there in the north, they are on the verge of one of their elections. And previously when elections occur in America, it's just fanfare and enough whistleblowing and horns, toot and speeches and so on, and they get a winner and everybody go home. This time it's nothing like that. This is a society and empire on the brink of dissolution. And it's been here from 1776. And in 2016, something happened in America that would bring onto the stage the final player, the player who would bring the game to its end, the end game. So I want to talk a little bit now about really what's going down there in the north and why the people are so anxious, what is at stake, and how does Jamaica fall into the whole rhythm of these power struggles going on. Because remember now, the United States of America has been a world power and was a superpower from the 1940s. And it is now being worked backwards from being super to being great. So in this backward movement, there is resistance in the country. Obviously, right across the globe, there is resistance to America taking itself backwards. But it's a part of the cycle. It's not a circle. It's not just going around, coming back round. It's a part of a cycle. And a cycle of trough and of crests, rise and fall. And we are experiencing on the globe the end game of an empire set up from 1776 and has risen and fallen in such a rapid time. And we are living it and we are seeing it. And people are anxious. But we worry not. We think our way out. We rationalize that it's a cycle. So those who are not in the decline mode should be also preparing themselves to be on a path of ascension. In other words, there's ascending and there's descending. One empire is descending. One group of people, black people, African people, need to organize themselves that they can go on some form of ascent. The Chinese are ascending. The Indians are ascending. The Europeans and the Americans are in descent. And I cannot be just spectators to everybody else's movement. We must begin to put ourselves in motion, get our house in order. And the house in order meaning each individual gets a sense of consciousness about them blackness and them relationship to the earth and to the planet and to the stars and to all the things that are around them. And we make positive relations from that perspective. So we'll take a look at trips into North America and that jungle down there.
Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here's a strange and bitter
coming to the land of liberty. But life's design is already made. So young and so strong, they're just waiting to be saved. Oh, I'm so tired, and I know you're tired too. Look over the horizon, see the sun shining down on you. Ship ahoy, ship ahoy, ship ahoy, ship ahoy. Ship ahoy, yeah. Ship ahoy, ship ahoy, ship ahoy, ship ahoy.
We get to have a proper understanding of America, North America, as a black man, black woman, as a person of African origin. We have to hold the reasoning from its inception. How did the African people get into the United States in the first place? How did black people reach into America? Well, black people have been all over the planet, long time. And if you really check the history of America from its colonial days, even before they set up the Constitution, the first 4 leaders of the country were black men. We would call them the president. Yeah, the first 4 presidents of America were black men. Just that there was no Constitution, so they don't hold that as a part of them history. So for each year, they had to have a new leader. And for the first 4 years before the Constitution, black man was in those places. But after the Europeans established themselves as the driving force, after driving out the Indians out of their land and establishing them colony, the transportation of African people as enslaved bodies began in earnest. And so the journey out of Africa brought whole heap of black people into the Caribbean region, Barbados as a transshipment point, and then into Virginia, into the United States, and along those southern coasts. So black people never entered America in mass as immigrants, nor did they enter as refugees nor asylum seekers. They were brought into the country as captured slaves. That is the reality of the history of black people in the country, no matter what happened after. And what is very evident is that when the Europeans come into America, they are not considered, they didn't enter America as chattel slaves. If they entered as slaves, it would be as bonds, as domestic slaves, indentured servants. But chattel slavery is the worst type of slavery that exists. And slavery has been on the earth from mankind has been here. There's even slavery practice amongst the insects. War amongst the ants. And ant soldiers, them capture other ants. And they work in the colony. So we're not frightened by the slavery. What is distressing is chattel slavery, where the individual now loses their dignity and their self-worth, lose their language and their culture, and become animals, and less than animals, because in certain places like America, dogs are treated much better than black people. I see a video where a black man, a Jamaican man, catch a raccoon and light him on fire. And all the white Americans get up and say, "Oh, look what he did to the raccoon." And you lick a dog, "Oh, hit the dog." In other animals in trouble in America, white people rise up. But when the black people are brutalized and beaten by dogs and attacked, ain't nothing, is nothing. Because the chattel mentality has been planted in America in the mind of white people that black people will forever be descendants of slaves. So whether you rise up to be Bill Cosby or you rise up to be Barack Obama, white people still view black people as descendants of slaves, therefore inferior, regardless of the position them hold in the society, politically or economically. So black people must know where they're coming from before they get excited about what they're getting involved in today. And the history of America is a history that is based upon racial oppression. It's manifested in all aspects of American life, where race is the first priority. And so, although black people experienced emancipation in America, and they were promised 40 acres and a mule, they got more like 40 kicks. Because there's still no land turnover, and the slave labor has turned into prison labor. Because they have nowhere to deport the Americans, blacks who are born there, they send them to prison. Those who they don't want to deal with them, who don't come from the country, they deport them. So we have to say this America for what it was and what it still is. It's a land of racial oppression. It's a land wherein the military industrial complex is the driving force. It's a land wherein slavery was a driving force in the economy in the South. And the Southerners were unwilling to give up them property. And so they still have the concept in their mind that black people are property. And it is manifested in the professional sporting teams, where you see property, you see under contract, and you see the owners, and you see them behavior. So America is a place that is built upon racism. The first settlers there were refugees, running away out of Europe, escaping tribalism from their own kind, get involved in a genocide, and then get involved in a transatlantic slave trade. All of this now is behind the virtue of being democratic. And this democratic ideal is supposed to be highlighted by people being able to vote, because the vote is supposed to be the ultimate tool of democracy, the tool that allows you to install your leaders or remove the leaders. But we know that in America, democracy is a model that is drawn from the Greeks. And in the Grecian model of democracy, there are owners, there's a planter class, there's a working class, and there are slaves. And when you transform your society from slavery straight out to disguised slavery can be called capitalism. Because in that language, there are no chains. What you have is a bondage system within money. And money now becomes a tool from which we have limited access to. So, black people in America now getting very excited about what the president is doing and what he's not doing. Realize that America has these two clubs called Democrats and Republicans. Maybe the same way Jamaica have our two clubs called JLP and PNP. And these organizations are run by the people who are wealthy. So it's the wealthy oligarchs that finance these parties, both here and there. There are no black people involved in that. Black people can't define what the oligarchy wants. But there's a symbolic gesture that makes you feel that you are helping to decide, so you shall go out and vote. Well, I would never tell one not to vote, because it's a right that citizens hold. But apparently in America now, the struggle is so intense that even people who have been defined as citizens may very shortly lose them status as citizens. So there's a whole heap of things under threat based upon this leadership that America have. And so this election tomorrow, this midterm election, is a crossroad indicator as to whether black people must decide for ultimately organize them own exodus or organize them own exodus. Metamorphosis.
This feeling is taking over me. I'm so excited.
Feel the euphoria.
Tuesdays from 5 to 9 p.m. with the Master Mixer Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Giving a total satisfaction with melodies and memories by the score. With the widest selection of genres and hits. So you don't know that program you turn up, you know. So you know Patek's a full dance, the one you slap with.
Digital and we are party. Yeah, we flawless. Euphoria the program. Every Tuesday.
5 to 9. Every Tuesday.
With the Musical Maestro Digital Team.
It's the big end month sale. DIB Block Factory and Hardware. All 3 locations. 7 Thompson Avenue, Buff Bay. Main Street, St. Margaret's Bay. 44 William Street, Port Antonio. Every end of month we got a big sale. Friday's the big doorbuster sale. Saturday all day. Get prizes and surprises. Big discounts on all items. DIB Block Factory and Hardware. End of month sale. This weekend. Business operators, local and overseas. This announcement is for you.
Styles FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
Styles FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. Styles FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with Styles FM, visit www.stylesfm.com or email info@stylesfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
Styles FM, the world listens. For complete auto repairs and services, come to Akon Auto Technology, located at 33 Bumble Crescent, Port Antonio, Jamaica. We offer specialist services in wheel alignment and wheel balancing, brake drum and disc rotary servicing, state-of-the-art ultrasonic cleaning and testing of your fuel injectors. We also stock an assorted range of auto service parts, tires, and motorcraft batteries. If we don't have it, we will source it for you. Call us at 876-715-5205 or email AkonAutoTech16@gmail.com. Akon Auto Technology, beyond the typical auto mechanic shop.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
Are you sick of living an average life and tired of just getting by? Do you want to take your life to the next level? Learn the secrets of the super successful. Listen to Power in a Half Hour with Coach Mark this and every Wednesday night on Styles FM from 9 to 10 p.m. Learn the habits of the super successful and how to make these habits work for you. Learn to turn your dreams and desires into reality. You can win in the game of life. Let Coach Mark show you how. Every Wednesday night on Styles FM from 9 to 10 p.m.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Everybody wants a black vote. Everybody wants a black vote. Which party is really better? The Republicans or the Democrats? Are they any different? Are they the same as PNP and JLP? The Democrats versus the Republicans? Do any of those parties really have the interest of black people? No, there is a cry and a demand for the black vote. What I think, the vote of the black man becomes very important now. What happens after he votes? Politics. The Democrats and the Republicans battling for control over the House and the Senate. Will the balance of power flip in the US during this midterm election? Because the power is in the hands of a racist. The power is in the hands of a sexist. The power is in the hands of a tycoon, billionaire. And there's a cry in America that the power must be flipped away from the oligarchs and closer to the people. But which people? What we see rising up in America, that has always been there. What we're seeing is two sides of America. We are now seeing the side that was once covert. What was once hidden is now open. And what is open is distressing, painful, but it is real. It is the guts of America. To make America great again, you have to return America to the Civil War era. You have to return America to the time when black people were chattel. So the American Constitution is being challenged because the present leadership is also threatening to remove the rights of those who are become citizens through birth. So a lot of things are at stake, and it's all about the minorities and the intruders who are more concerned. So where should they put their vote? Should it be for the Democrats? Because there's a feeling in America that the Democratic Party is a kind of black people party. The same party that gave them Obama and from which there is not much result. So in America, Republicans and Democrats, as far as I'm concerned, is still white people. But the voting is important in America because of the nature of its democracy. I hear the present leader say that if his party loses too many of these important seats, he said there's going to be violence. This is where American democracy reach, where there is no veiled threat of violence against anybody who is not in favor of the ruling party. So we're wondering if America is still a democracy, or is it now being run by a tyrant? Are we experiencing the tyranny that the Romans once experienced before the final end of the empire? Republicans versus Democrats. And black people get caught in the middle. Now we hear that the present leadership is wooing the black vote. And you have black people rallying behind the present leadership. It's a serious thing going on in America, you know. It's really the empire in its endgame. Every fig must find its fig tree. Stay conscious and remember your home. Because in America, that is no home for black people. Just know that.
Hold it. Listen.
The black man life in America is a very, very hard one, coming from the days of cotton picking slavery and days of lynching. Lynching has returned to America. The Ku Klux Klan that were once hidden have now become obvious. So what is happening in America is that all that was once hidden has now been given a license to come out. Everybody coming out of the closet. So the KKK, which is the most organized terrorist group in America, has now been given a license by the presidency. And so they are no longer afraid to hide their racism and their hate for melanin-based people. It's for the people who are of melanin to wake up and realize that these people are not afraid of what they tell us to be afraid of. Because they come onto our lawns and they come burning with a cross, burning, and plant the burning cross upside down on black people's lawn. So they're not afraid of the cross. It's the same cross they have us fearful of. So the violence that has been governing black people in America from the 1800s, it went underground. It went inside all the institutions of America. You could find that violence. And it lodged very, very strongly in the police force. And with the rise of this president, it has opened the door for all of these forces to come out and to be proud. So they call it now nationalism, white right-wing nationalism. And in that ism, people who they consider to be aliens are encouraged to leave the country. So who is an alien in America? Who is a citizen? Who is an immigrant? These are statuses. And when you're filling out forms in America, they're always trying to ask you, what is your status? But America have a document called the Constitution. And when they went through the emancipation and take off the chattel of the black people in America, they had to actually create an amendment to the Constitution that would verify that slavery was over. So in the American Constitution, there are amendments. One right down to maybe about 15 or more. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, it granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, including former slaves, and guaranteed all citizens, in quotes, equal protection of the laws. This is the 14th Amendment of the United States. So from them times, you know, black people, Africans, should be feeling themselves to be citizens. So obviously before this amendment, black people were not citizens, which is the point I'm also trying to get across. That before these technical write-ups, black people were considered to be slaves and descendants of slaves. And in today's America, because it's being great again, that is now being put into the face of black people again. The constant reminder. So you have some little white women going around the place calling the police people for every little incident. Calling the police for little kids walking on the road. Calling police because I'm on somebody in a store. Calling police on black people for everything. And these people are not arrested for public mischief because it's white people doing it. So something has been turned loose in America since 2016. And what has been turned loose is what was underground, what was in the belly. And voting tomorrow will not change that. Voting tomorrow will not change the hatred that is in America for black people and is being fueled by the leadership in the White House. There are many white people in America now who are very upset with the leadership and feel embarrassed. But they are a part of the privileged society. They are a part of the white majority. So I still ask the question, how does voting really help black people in America? And I've seen voting in America from the 70s. How many black people are in Congress? How many black men and women are congressmen and are congresswomen? Because the president is not the house of the power, you know. It's the congressman where the laws are passed, etc., etc. So people are now being encouraged to go out and vote tomorrow. And the whole agenda from black man perspective, especially from people who come from outside of America and go in and become citizens, is that a vote against Trump is a vote for their own liberation. But I'm not so sure if the vote of black people can change the benefits that a lot of white people are now getting out of America. America is in decline. And that's what everybody must be aware of. America has disconnected itself from major organizations. America is becoming an isolated former world power. And so this is the final stages. And so the black people in the country must realize that America going down. If you want to go down with America, well, that's a choice. If you want to free yourself, turn your eye to where you come from. Check out your home. And if your homeland is not sufficient, check out the bigger land. Check out the continent. Investigate the countries on the continent. Because the Chinese are going there, the Europeans are returning there. So what is wrong with black people being the rightful owners to claim their own land? So we're going to watch how Trump and his administration survive these midterm elections. There will be new governors and new seats in the Congress. We will see the power will shift, because at the present moment, there's an attempt by the American government, United States, under Trump, to remove the natural rights to persons who are born in America that should be automatically become citizens. They are challenging that, which means not because you have a citizenship paper means you are safe in America. And because of the change in the Supreme Court with the judge that favors Trump and his decisions, black people must take these cues seriously and think about where you really want to live for the next 10 years. Think about the next 20 years. Do you really want to be living in Trump land? Or you want to live in a land where you have a certain level of respect and a certain level of autonomy? Some serious choices you have to make. Metamorphosis.
Charge of this garden of life, in which the flower of true love grows. A flower hidden by weeds of hatred. Where is it now? A few of us know. We're the gardener, God plants the seed. Flower dies when we're the gardener.
We understand that there are certain voting places where the Ku Klux Klan have taken up positions to frighten away black people from voting. Yeah, that's going on, you know. It's a terrorism. Terrorism. And our local level now, each party send for them like a hoodlum them. And frighten away people from the polling station. Well, in America now, it's the Ku Klux Klan. We're organizing themselves to frighten black people away from the vote. It's not an easy journey, that's no, you know. Yeah, man, North America is not a nice place to be right now, particularly in the United States of anxiety. The 13th Amendment in 1865, an amendment to the Constitution of the United States that formally abolished slavery in 1865. 100 years later, in 1965, black people were still unable to experience the benefits of a citizen. Because once you have to be declared a citizen through an amendment, it means your condition previous to that was not one that was worthy of. And in today's America, the mentality of the white people still view the black people as their property. So no matter what the level of personal achievement, the white man in America still sees themselves as a superior being based upon the fact that his skin lacks melanin, lacks pigmentation, and therefore he's a privileged being within the society that he has created. So there are many black people who will refuse to vote Just like in Jamaica, a lot of people refuse to vote because they understand the hypocrisy and the double standard of the system. But I will never tell anyone not to vote, nor will I tell you to vote. Because each individual must come to a consciousness and understand what is it they are doing. What America seems to want, from the black perspective, they want to get rid of Trump. But be careful, Trump don't get another term, another 4 years. And then what would you do as a person? Why not look ahead from now? Think ahead. That's the best way to survive. Metamorphosis. In the build up to this election, one of the popular entertainers, Kanye West, was invited to the White House by Trump, and he ended up telling the world that he had as his audience how great Trump is, and how great it is that this man has finally come to alleviate black people of them distress because he has lowered the unemployment rate of black people, blah blah blah. 1 week later, the Virgin come out and say he was used. And he's going to distance himself from politics. It's a self-respect. You cannot be taught, it has to be inculcated. And black people who lack self-respect tend to pay great tribute and homage to white people, whether they are intelligent or not. Trump obviously not a very intelligent person, but he's holding a very powerful office. And so if you know yourself, you don't bow to the office because there must be an integrity within thyself as a man. So we see him go there and make a fool of himself, a buffoon. And then we see another group of black people gather into the White House telling Trump that he's the greatest. We have to be very careful, because just on the flip side, when Obama was in office, he's the most oppressed and terrorized president ever come into the American institution. And the primary reason for his being hated is simply because he had melanin in his skin. And not even him so much. His wife, she had too much. So them couldn't take that level of blackness in them White House. So don't think there's any love for black people in America. By white people. They don't love the Indians. They don't love the black people. They don't love themselves. Look at the violence and the shootings and the mass shootings in America over the last 2 years. Another one just going in Florida again, some yoga business. So that has become the trend in Trump USA, in the USA run by Trump. Violence has now become the way. It has become normalized. So black lives don't matter, but blue lives matter. So the police can show you that their lives are more important than black people. a black man's life in America is something that only him can put a value on it, because the society doesn't put any. Look in the prison systems, and you see the anger of white people. The difference in the anger. When a man commit a mass murder and shooting, we don't see them rise up in the same way as when a black man kneel down at a football game. So it shows you where them priority rests. They are more angry at black people protesting by kneeling down at a game than when a white man take up a gun and shoot down 15 or 20 of them. So the hatred is something that Martin Luther King thought he could overpower with love. That he could love white people to the point that they changed. And all of those bite with more and more dog and become more brutal. So love doesn't overpower hate. That is a fantasy talk. What prevents and stirs down hate is power. Power is what we're lacking. And when we have power, you get respect. Yeah, all the hate turns into respect when you have power. Look at Kim Jong-un. 8-9 months ago, he was the tip of everybody's tongue and the point of war. No, he's no longer discussed because he held his ground. He stood his ground with his weapons and forced a reasoning, because it's that the white man respect power. Him don't respect prayers. Him don't respect petitions. Him don't respect vote. Him respect power. Until I acquire power.
Long ago in Tobago, the carnival wasn't so, no. But plenty shop job and devil, they came down to wrecking store. They came from Falun, horns on their head, one name in the suit, eyes always red. One Abyssinia, a hero of man, portraying Lucifer with a ball in his hand.
Now, this takes us a little bit away from North America now, because the program is coming to a close. I want to pay a little tribute to a giant that has left us also in the world of music. This is a Calypsonian. His name is Shadow. And we in Jamaica think say just we alone lick out through social commentary about the political issues of the world. Trinidad music is not just about Saltfish and Calypso and Sparrow. It's serious amount of commentary. And this man has done his time and passed through and has joined the land of the giants. Shadow. Listen to Shadow.
Everybody is somebody. Nobody is nobody. I mean the pauper or the wealthy. Everybody is somebody. Poverty is what it takes to make such dangerous mistake about who is somebody. But when a woman makes her son, from the time that child is born, he is somebody. Everybody is somebody.
No slave, no slave.
Nobody is nobody. The pauper or the wealthy. Everybody is somebody.
This is Caribbean Vibe.
I don't believe in lies. Don't promise me the world, it's too heavy for my soul. Treat me nice. Treat me nice.
This is the Calypsonian, Dr. Winston McGarland Bailey, otherwise known as the Mighty Shadow. Calypsonian from Tobago. Just passed away. And so Iman got introduced to the Shadow in the 1970s while living in Brooklyn and became a part of a steel band and really got into the culture of the revolutionary Trinidadian artists and realized that Trinidadian commentators were not just about the Mighty Sparrow and Saltfish. Yeah, it was about revolution and culture. In the same way we had our spokespersons for cultural change in the 70s, so did the Trinidadians. Yeah, the Mighty Shadow.
I don't have time to fool around, so listen to my song. Treat me nice. Treat me nice. Don't promise me the skies. You know I don't believe in lies. Don't promise me the world. It's too heavy for my soul. Treat me nice. Treat me nice.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Yeah, this is the Metamorphosis with Dr. Iman Blak. We're passing through Trinidad.
It's Caribbean Vibes.
The key to happiness is wrapped up in your love. If you never found happiness, you never found love. Without love, life is like a game of torture. Without love, a man like fishes out of water. Without love, according to the teaching, without love, hell and earth is the same thing. When love is right around you, all the joys of life is yours. But if that love should ever leave you, you are in trouble just because. Without love, life is like a game of torture.
Yeah, that was just a little tribute to an artist that helped bring her into close understanding of the people of Trinidad and Tobago and realize that revolutionary energies are right across this Caribbean. Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Jamaica. These islands of captivity, these islands of slavery, all of these islands have pockets of resistance. And the resistance is manifested through the culture. Because the colonial structure is one in which one culture tries to assume itself to be superior to the other. The Europeans trying to be superior to all other cultures. So once there is resistance, the resistance must be projecting that which is being oppressed, which is African culture. And black culture comes out through the music. Rastafari brings it out here, and it comes out in Trinidad and Tobago. Lord Short Shirt, Shadow, and a set of men who hold the culture and push the consciousness. So not as a Jamaica thing and a Rasta thing. It's a black people resistance. And we're resisting anywhere we are. We're resisting Haiti, resisting in Trinidad, the United States. So the resistance movement in the United States, it kind of watered down because of the militancy that has been removed. But the black people shall arise themselves, I think, in America. Under the Trump administration, there is no choice but to unite and rally around blackness. The violence that we see in those communities of Chicago where the guns them are there and such and such, all of that is man-made, you know. It's constructed. Because that's how you keep black people in one position. You keep the women at home, you keep them on welfare, you take away the will of the people to go out and work and be self-reliant, and then you pack the prisons with young black youths. It's all organized and structured. So you can stay there and be part of that, or you can slowly extricate yourself. But you can't move until you know. And you have to know why you're moving. You have to know where you're moving to. Because you can't run away from yourself. You can't. Metamorphosis.
The pressures of your life and it tough. No stay down, mama, time to get up. No bother with the down, full style, strictly up, full vibes. I pick it up when the bills, them, the rent and the mortgage due.
Hail up Ross Trace, hail up all the Brooklyn, Bronx, New York people. Hail up the people as far across as California. Hail up Mac and the army of man them in that region. Hail up the man them in the various states. And know whether you're going to vote or not. And don't expect too much at the end of the voting process. But do what you think you should do. If you're a citizen, you have responsibilities and you have duties. Some of the responsibilities of a citizen is to vote and to uphold the law. These are some of the responsibilities. And of course, you get a certain amount of protection because there are rights of a citizen. The rights you earn because you're born there. And these rights are supposed to lead to you being protected. But all of that is under threat because of the nature of this leadership in America now. So it's one thing to be a citizen. But apparently you can be in a position where you can lose that citizenship. It's going to be a battle in the courts. And people must know what is it they are willing to stand up and fight for. Yeah, so after tomorrow, the world will have a new perspective of what America will look like. How much longer will they continue to withdraw from certain organizations? How much strength will the right-wing nationalists get in the country? Will Trump get a second 4-year term? Will the racists step up them rhetoric? Will there be more police violence? Will black people begin to get more organized in politics through sports and start move them money into different lands? Enough things on the horizon, but we must stay aware and be conscious as often as we can. Serious times.
You know, feel a reggae music sweet. So skank You're stinking sweet. That river is stinking sweet. Yeah. I'm gonna be stinking.
So there's a time ago when once you're born in America, you're an automatic citizen. Now they're digging up certain clauses and they're questioning now whether if the parents enter the country illegally and the child is born there, they're putting it out that that child may lose that right to be citizen because the parents didn't come in legally. It's a whole heap of things going on. So it's best to be aware. And it's best to know your homeland because all who are there as visitors and immigrants and so forth come from somewhere. Sometimes where you're coming from don't seem so inviting. That's why you leave in the first place. But then where you are now, you're going to realize it's also not so inviting. Ultimately, them say the best place is home. Home for the Jamaicans is not an easy place to come to either. Because what we have here as leadership really needs a whole overhauling. It's almost obvious to everyone that the leadership here encourages Jamaicans to stay over there. Yes, and when you stay there now, you help to be part of the budget with your remittance. That seems to be a strategy that is being implemented by both parties whenever they're in power. So all the island out there in America and struggling through the weather and the climate, now you're going into the depth of the whiteness, into the winter, into the hell. You're going into hell now. So you have to really be focused and pay attention to what is it you're really there for. It cannot be forever. So you have to have an exit plan. And exit strategy don't have to mean Jamaica necessarily if you don't think here is a place to be. But it make sure so it have sunshine, it have weather, and it have an economy that you can maintain yourself. Because America is in decline.
Bigger moving, kill this track.
Listen to me now, brother.
Where you stand,
contradicting yourself.
Chronic Salvador's to tell them say.
Listen to me now.
Contradiction is global.
Yeah, contradiction global. The madness taking over. Too much man in a mix up. One bag a mix up. Rasta and himself.
Contradiction global. Still good conquer evil. David still struggle lion. Make one wall a vibe, yeah. Too many idolize badness and slackness. Island in the sun just falling in a darkness. One love and one heart where the heart there. Nowadays you no cool if you no heartless. Flashy with a 9 like you lawless. Like justice I buy out a wallet. Well that a 6 for a 9 and a 9. You know the waste then a sentence to life car.
Contradiction global. The madness taking over. Too much man in a mix up. One bag a mix up. Rasta and himself.
Contradiction global. Still good conquer evil. David still struggle lion. Make one wall a vibe, yeah. Well Margarita no flankers. Where bullets are run pum pum pum. Who I call them big shots there?
Yes, and of course, Coach Mark can't disagree with you. He said, and you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, it don't matter where you go. You're not going to do anything but take up space. You know. So the planning and the thinking, Coach Mark, yes, is an important activity. And we give thanks for the input, you know. We'll get another thing saying nice music. All right, long time thing that. Yeah. And this is planning. I used to tell all of my players from the time I go amongst them in the world of football and start coaching, and I started coaching in my early 20s, that if you fail to plan, then you are also planning to fail. Or if you fail to prepare, then you must prepare to fail. So preparation is an essential part of our liberation. Can't emphasize it anymore. And for results and success, preparation is key. You have a football match to play. You don't come together a day before the match and say you're going to prepare. You're going to get a whooping. So, yeah, planning, strategizing. Rather than wake up, hold of meds, strategize. When a man see me and ask me, what, you hold of meds? I say, no, I strategize. I'm always strategizing. And we must take up that as a practice. Rather than stare in space and fantasize, let us strategize. Yeah, metamorphosis.
One love and one heart where the heart there.
I know enough of them woulda want we gone. I know them woulda want me gone. Sit down every day and I wish we had much time on them hands, you know. But why would a king ever fear a boss? A king would never fear them. So what them a go do when them hear this war? Bang bang.
Yes, no take tellings, want me no fi say this. Man, we see your farm and gone in and you let this. People mean your harm, you can't tell what a friend is. Grudge you for your paper, scorn you for your pennies. When you no see me gone, forget replenish. Back up in the morning, can't forget the message, no. Avocado, she feel for me, Senny. Yeah, man, banana is sweet to she belly. Jeez, I want make life sweet, so like a jelly. Climb feet, it hard, can't easy, so forget it. Sang the pan the radio, video pan the telly. Loving on me heart, me a spread the catchy medi.
People, oh people, expectation. Will they love you? No guarantee. People, oh people, salvation. Need salvation. Will they save you? No guarantee. Ain't no guarantee.
Some no like how you live, want to carry you go court. Some will burn every bridge and still I look for support. Jealousy is a cloud, check the weather report. That's why me tighten the ship and then me arm up the fort. Now the biggest of foes, once the closest of friends. But you know how it goes, how the fake will pretend. Some will shake off your hand and break bread in your house. Soon as you turn your back, them will run up on your spouse. Some will say you no rat, and you jump in a Benz. Like me never see still I see in a couple of them. Some will watch what you earn and account what you spend. Always want if you borrow, never have if you lend. But you see
People, oh people, expectation. Will they love you? No guarantee. Oh no guarantee. People, oh people, need salvation. Will they save you? No guarantee. No guarantee.
no matter where them a go, say me I feel live me life. No worries for me yet.
Suddenly, some friends became my foes for reasons that I know. Said to us is a waste of time. Let's step it.
Lenny I, right out of Port Antonio here. Long time I want to play that tune now.
Fighting a spiritual war for peace. Hypocrites relax. Dress back, Rasta, real box lags. Hypocrites relax. Dress back, Rasta, real box lags. Know that the war is on, and Rasta's head command. So warriors arise. Now is the appointed time. Go forward, so winners have souls. Enough gets a victory, I'm sure.
Yeah, so healing up all those who have been listening to the program. Healing up all the virgins on the African continent who coming through the Metamorphosis page and realizing what's going on in Portland right here. Styles FM. This is the station. We don't give any explanations. We just give it to you straight out of our meditation.
I just won't sell my soul. I'm not ready for your gold. I refuse to take your
Of
pride.
course, yeah, all the people in Portland, all the people in the Northeast Confederation, all the people on the island of Jamrock, since Styles FM knows right across this island of enslavement, working on our own liberation. Right here in Bombrook, Springbank, heal up Allah again. Heal up the people in Shatova, and Sister Dawn in Free School, and heal up to Diane, and Town Talk, and Titchfield Hill, and St. Thomas, and all of the people who think Styles FM is the best. Yes, without any real contest.
Said living in a Babylon ain't easy, no way.
Healing up all the youths out at Maritime University. Yes, and the brethren know whom I talk to specifically. Yeah, man, give thanks for the inquiry and the interest in wanting to know about your black self. Yes, that's where it will go.
In a positive way, I've got to pray to Jah to have some mercy, to keep me safe and guide me to travel on my way. Temptation is so strong, but I must fight it. I'll stand up and fight for my life. Oh, yeah, now. In a positive way, in a positive way. In a positive way. Oh, Jah, can't stand this feeling I feel inside of me. I've got to be free. Now living in a Babylon ain't easy. No, it ain't easy. Said living in a Babylon ain't easy. No way. Temptation on my right hand, evil on my left. I'll stand up and fight now. Oh, yeah, now. Sadamasagana. In a positive way. Sadamasagana. In a positive way. I've got to pray to Jah to have some mercy, to keep me safe and guide me to travel on my way. Temptation is so strong, but I must fight it. I'll stand up and fight for my life. Oh, yeah, now. Sadamasagana. In a positive way. Sadamasagana. In a positive way. In a positive way.
Do you know social living is the best? Do you know social living?